My sister-in-law showed up on my porch less than 24 hours after my brother's military funeral and handed me a DNA test. She was holding a stack of papers. Her husband stood right beside her. And for a moment, I honestly thought grief had broken something in my hearing, because surely no one does this the morning after a burial. Surely not family. But Sandra wasn't confused. She looked me dead in the eye. My son is James's biological child, she said. And I have proof. She lifted the documents. My parents stood behind her. My father wouldn't meet my eyes. My mother's jaw was set hard, the way it gets when she's already decided something. That's when I understood. They already knew why Sandra was there. I looked at the papers. I looked at my sister-in-law. Then I said the only word that came to me. Interesting. That was it. Nothing else. Because some moments are so staggering that anger doesn't arrive on time. My name is Daniel Mercer. I'm 64 years old. Until the day before, my brother James had been alive. Colonel James Mercer, United States Army, 32 years of service. Now he was gone. The funeral had drawn hundreds of people to a veterans' cemetery outside of Fayetteville. Former soldiers, neighbors, men James had mentored when they were barely old enough to shave. Some drove 6 hours just to be there. James wasn't wealthy. He wasn't famous. But he was respected. And for men of his generation, that mattered more than either. I can still hear the echo of taps across that cemetery. I can still see the honor guard folding the flag with white-gloved hands. After the funeral, I returned to James's house, his home, where he had lived with his wife Patricia for 41 years. Patricia had asked me to stay a few days. She didn't want to be alone, and honestly, neither did I. We sat up late that first night, drinking coffee, not saying much. Some grief is too large for words. I woke before sunrise. The house felt heavier in the dark. James's reading glasses were still on the end table. His army photographs still lined the hallway. I stepped outside for air, just a short drive to clear my head, and when I came back less than an hour later, I saw Sandra's SUV in the driveway, and my parents' car behind it. Something felt wrong before I even reached the porch steps. Sandra didn't offer condolences, didn't ask how Patricia was holding up, didn't say James's name with any reverence at all. She just thrust the papers toward me. My son Tyler is James's child, which means he has a right to inheritance. Half this house belongs to him. Tyler was 20 years old. I had watched that kid grow up. Quiet, polite, serious, nothing like his mother when she was in this mode. I looked at my parents. Neither of them flinched. My stomach dropped. Sandra smiled when I didn't respond immediately. It wasn't warm. It was the smile of someone who believed they'd already won. DNA doesn't lie, she said. And I thought, neither does preparation. Because right then, something James had said to me 3 months earlier came back with sudden clarity. We'd been sitting in his study after dinner, and he'd looked at me with an expression I hadn't fully understood at the time. Danny, if anything strange happens after I'm gone, check the bottom drawer of my desk. Don't forget. I had assumed he meant insurance papers. Financial stuff. I hadn't pressed him. Now, those words hit differently. I told Sandra I needed to think. She mistook my calmness for surrender. How long do you need? She pushed. I walked past her, past my parents, into the house. James's study was exactly as he'd left it. I opened the bottom drawer. Inside, organized with the same precision James brought to everything, were folders. Tax documents, property records, and beneath them all, a sealed manila envelope. My name written across the front in his handwriting. Daniel. Open only if needed. I broke the seal. The letter inside was dated nearly 2 years ago. Long before James's illness became serious. Long before any of us thought we'd be standing at a graveside this soon. Brother, if you're reading this, something happened that I hoped wouldn't. Everything in this envelope was prepared to protect Patricia and to protect the truth. Don't argue with Sandra. Don't negotiate. Contact attorney Richard Colton immediately. I read that paragraph 3 times. He knew. James had known this was coming. Beneath the letter was a business card, Estate Attorney Richard Colton, Fayetteville, and a folder marked confidential. Inside were investigator reports, photographs, timelines, financial records. Karen's name appeared again and again. So did Tyler's. and a single sentence highlighted in yellow at the bottom of the final report. Claims regarding Colonel Mercer's paternity appear unsupported by available evidence. Sandra had arrived with a DNA document she called proof, but the report in my hands showed serious inconsistencies in her claims, dates that didn't line up, statements that had shifted over the years. And the legal documents James had prepared, trusts, property protections, updated estate records, were all more recent than the version of the will Sandra had waved around on the porch. She was holding an outdated document. She either didn't know that, or she was betting I didn't. I called attorney Colton the next morning. His receptionist answered on the second ring. When I gave her my name, she paused gently. Mr. Mercer, Mr. Colton has been expecting your call. Expecting it. Not if expecting. The meeting lasted nearly 2 hours. Colton explained what James had done in careful, methodical detail. Years earlier, Sandra had approached James privately with her claim. He hadn't told me, not because he wanted secrets between us, but because he hoped the issue would go away quietly. When it didn't, he hired professionals. He documented everything. He had the evidence legally verified and preserved. Then he updated every relevant document to ensure no fraudulent claim could threaten Patricia after his death. Why didn't he tell me any of this? I asked. Colton leaned back. Because he knew what it would do to your family relationships. That was James, protecting people even when they didn't deserve it. Sandra filed a legal challenge 2 weeks later. I wasn't surprised. The porch confrontation, the rumors she spread through extended family, the calls from distant cousins asking uncomfortable questions, it had all been building toward this. The courtroom hearing took place on a Tuesday morning. Sandra arrived looking confident, almost theatrical. My parents sat in the gallery behind her. Seeing them, they're still stung. I won't pretend otherwise. But James had prepared for this too. One by one, Colton dismantled Sandra's case. The DNA report had no chain of custody documentation, no independent authentication, no verification records. Her own testimony contained contradictions that the judge noticed before Colton even finished pointing them out. The investigator James had hired years earlier testified calmly, professionally. He laid out timelines, verified facts, and answered every question without once losing composure. That's the kind of witness judges remember. By late afternoon, the ruling came. Sandra's claim was dismissed. No inheritance rights. No legal claim against the estate. No basis for further action. I felt no satisfaction. Only a strange, hollow sadness. Winning didn't bring James back. Winning didn't rebuild the trust my parents had fractured. Winning simply confirmed what my brother already knew, and had spent years making sure the world would know too. Outside the courthouse, I stood alone for a moment and thought about what James had told me once, years ago, during one of his deployments when I was worried about something I can't even remember now. Danny, the truth doesn't need your help. Just give it time and room to breathe. He was right. He usually was. I looked down at the business card still in my coat pocket and made a decision. Not revenge. Not bitterness. Something harder than both of those. Mercy. Because James taught me that winning a battle and losing your character are two things that can happen at exactly the same time, if you're not careful. And he raised me to be careful.